We are live. This is the market update. I am your host, Bill Noble. If you need a roadmap in crypto, subscribe to this channel. Turn on alerts so you know when we're going live. And if the content works for you, please hit the like button. Now, Bitcoin changed the game. That was the first step. Then XRP changed the game again. Want to know more? Stick around and we'll tell you. Let's begin with welcome to crypto. If you're new and you just got here, welcome to the revolution. You work all day, you get paid money, the money falls in value, and then someone takes the fruit of your labor, makes a bunch of money, makes their stock go up. So for every dollar you make somebody, they make money in an appreciating asset like stocks while you get stuck with cash. Well, that's no more, right? You get your cash into Bitcoin, XRP, ski mask dog, you name it. You are now a part of the cryptocurrency revolution, right? And this revolution has only begun. So if you're saying to yourself, oh my God, I missed it, I haven't participated yet, everything has gone up, nothing, repeat, nothing could be farther from the truth. We are witnessing something where you get up every day and certain coins in certain sectors are moving in 20 to 40% increments. And that's not even the memes. I'm not even talking about the memes yet. Okay. Big cap cryptos, mid cap cryptos moving in 10, 20% increments. Why? Because the market overall is not priced properly. Crypto is this revolutionary new industry, money, finance, DeFi, AI on the blockchain, sharing hardware called DePIN, decentralized physical infrastructure, new forms of social media. This stuff's been built. Some of it's been built for 5 years, some of it longer, right? It was designed to we will build it and they will come, right? Now, not always the best business strategy, but now is the time. Crypto is an industry, and the U.S. government owes so much money that they have got to have not only economic growth, but they have got to get explosive economic growth. Now, what does one have to do with the other? Right? So if you have an industry that has an American core, right? You have BlackRock with the Bitcoin ETF. You have XRP, Algorand, right? I think we're calling it the ISO 2222 coins. I'll show that. You can build a whole new internet around this just because you can. In other words, it isn't all about just rebelling against Wall Street and Silicon Valley, although I'm all about that. You can build these things and you can build them big. Now, how do you attract capital? How do you attract builders? How do you enable builders with capital appreciation? In other words, the U.S. government is perfectly okay with us mooning crypto. They want you in there. They want you hitting the green button. Ready? They need you to hit the green button. Right? In other words, I got a news article somewhere in here that, thanks to the massive appreciation in XRP, it's now cheaper to moon XRP meme coins. So like Army, it's just exploding. All of a sudden, capital appreciation opened up a casino on XRP. Now, that's not exactly Web3, but if you have XRP at $10, okay, that's going to open up all new things that XRP can do. That's going to be driven by partnerships. The higher crypto goes, the more legacy companies are going to absolutely, and this is so important, they are going to absolutely have to have an announced, operable crypto strategy by the time their earnings come out in January. So if they haven't announced something, done something, bought something, they're going to be looked at as imbeciles. This happened in 2017, right? When Bitcoin originally took off. If the word blockchain was not in your earnings release, the stock went down after the earnings release. If the word blockchain was not in there. Now, in that case, that was, a part of a sentiment extreme, but not this time. This time, they have to do it. The government has to do it. The private sector has to do it. And you know what? We want them to do it. A shocking new thing is happening. The will of the people. How about that? So if the will of the people, which has been suppressed in crypto on and off for 7 years, is finally waking up, why would you fade that? Why would you worry too much about, oh no, I'm going to buy the top? I mean, you got to be careful in certain coins, right? But if they give you dips or pauses in something that, you've got some external research validation on, or that's just on Coinbase and it makes sense, right? Like anything that's called a layer one that will run the internet on Coinbase is probably going up 200%. I mean, that's what's been happening. The DEX for the network base Arrow is up 20% this morning. And that's not going to stop. I mean, I think that's going to $10 too, because you're just going to have so much capital flooding in to participate. Now, is it going to look silly? Will there be TikTok videos of guys in their basement with moose heads screaming because their XRP position went up? Are you going to have excess along the way? Sure. But you can't have innovation without excess. And really, in order to have innovation, you have to have a bubble. And people think it's a bubble now, and they're out of their mind. It's not a bubble. It's not a bubble until everybody thinks that sky-high prices is a new paradigm. That's like total crypto market cap at 6 trillion or 10 trillion. To call this a bubble is to not understand what's really happening. So if you want to know the news, you want to go over the charts, stay right here with us. All right, we have important information first on the stream. Welcome. Alexandra, Shelly, David, what's going on? Yav, Zepedas, Leo, Darren, hello, Danielle, Brandon, Lee, good morning. Kamina, Clint, Katya, thank you. And Lux Algo signals, I get my yearly salary and profits, and it's just the beginning of the bull run. Right on, man. Right on. We're getting everybody out of their day jobs. SGSG, one of the original guys on this stream. Bruno coming in from Bolivia. Welcome. Izzy, hello. Sean, Adrian, Frank, pouring in now. Welcome to the show. Okay. Malik, let's go. The Canadian nightmare continues. This is also, I usually start off every show with something that would indicate to us, why are we here? Sometimes people get discouraged in crypto. Their coin doesn't go up. I get it, right? Because it's not going up all at once, okay? Incomes in Canada are now 1/3 lower than in the U.S. 9 years of Justin Trudeau has delivered West Virginia salaries, San Francisco housing prices, and El Paso levels of migrants. Okay, this is a nice way of telling you that you could make an argument that Canada is becoming a failed state, and when it comes to economics, that they're in trouble. That governments, and this includes ours, has made really stupid decisions that have had epic impact on their citizens. The UK has made, unbelievable decisions. What in God's name happened in South Korea yesterday? Somebody explain that to me. Right? Sovereigns do not have your interest at heart. The money that they pay you does nothing but go down. And now you have an answer. Because, we lived through 8 months of incessant negativity in the world and in crypto. And guess what? I never bought into that. I never got short. I never got bearish in the range. You had all these guys doing this and that, shorting it. Stop it. Not doing it. This thing where crypto is the pushback mechanism against societal norms for years and a way of essentially taking fiat currencies and giving them a necessary devaluation versus some other currency. How many currencies are there to devalue all of fiat? That would be gold, silver, Bitcoin, XRP, Ethereum, etc. Those are the devaluation mechanisms. So we need rising digital currency prices. We need Web3 because we need economic growth. We need DeFi because we need economic growth. We need real world assets. We need fill in the blank. It is absolutely, absolutely happening. Now, a political headline: Orange Man vows to impound money, Congress appropriates it. So Congress is in charge of taxing and spending. The Orange Man says, no. I mean, you can appropriate the money, but we'll lock the money in a truck and, we won't issue it. Now, he can't do that constitutionally, but just let me tell you something. When these guys come into power, they don't care. And if they want something to happen, they're going to make it happen. I mean, I would use stronger language, but they don't give a darn. They don't care. Okay? So if they tell you they want crypto higher, it's going higher. If they tell you they're buying 1 million Bitcoin over 5 years, they're buying 1 million Bitcoin over 5 years. And that's not priced into the market. And every day something comes out like this where, like he told the Prime Minister of Canada that if you don't like the tariffs, this is our northern neighbor, right? He told the Prime Minister of Canada he doesn't like the tariffs, then we'll absorb your country. That's unbelievable, but that's not being traded. No one's connecting the determination of the new people coming into power with what they've already said about crypto, which is they're not taxing transactions in XRP. XRP is going to $5. Now, there may be too many leveraged longs in XRP temporarily, but if they tell you they want crypto made in America, it's happening. It's absolutely happening. And I know this sounds like, like some of the European newspapers are thinking that, we're a little bit too full of ourselves over here. And that may be true, right? Because the new administration doesn't cure everything. It may not even cure anything. But Web3 made in America is absolutely happening. Absolutely happening, right? It has to. Thousands of federal employees land work from home deals ahead of somebody coming into office. Social Security Employee Union secures hybrid work deal until end of 2029. So all the government workers are trying to lock themselves in before the layoff thing starts. Just as a reminder, the more stuff like this that happens, the harder a guy like Elon is going to go after it. And when they do, it's going to cause a recession. That's right. I said it. You're going to have a reduction in economic growth because you're going to shut the sugar off. That is going to lower the dollar and bring the Fed in with rate cuts. You have absolutely no idea the magnitude of what these guys are talking about doing. And they are absolutely, absolutely going to do it. Total U.S. debt spikes $84 billion in one day, up $1 trillion from $35 trillion on August in 105 days. Good luck, Doge. I mean, I don't even know how you slow this down. Like, Orange Man's going to walk in, he's going to sit down, and he's going to go options. He's going to look at people and go options. And Kennedy's already said it. We have to have explosive economic growth. Explosive. Right? The only way out of a debt problem is to devalue the currency and grow the economy. Like crypto could be like the number one growth sector in the economy 12 months from now. And in no way, shape, or form is any part of crypto priced for that. That includes Bitcoin and that includes XRP. And it definitely includes the base network. Oh my God. Like I saw something yesterday that Arbitrum has twice as much total value locked as base. Now, for anybody who just got here, that probably sounds like gibberish. Simple fact of the matter is the base network can at least double. It can probably 10x in terms of the amount of money that's flying around on that. And it has to be. Now, politicians are using crypto to make a comeback. I don't have the article with me, but it was reported last night that a congressman likely had his interns search YouTube for some cryptos that he could get involved in. They found one of Brian's videos, which probably had like 1 million views, where he talked about, Arrow and Ski Mask Dog. This guy buys 30K with it. He buys 15K of each with his own money. And the next thing you know, he's cool. Wendy O is like, responding to his posts. Ski Dog is off to 200 million. And all of a sudden that congressman spent 30K, didn't have to hire a PR firm, and now he's cool. Now the New York City mayor who, participated in this, process where a lot of people came to the country and wound up with free hotel stays, free phones, and gift cards, is now using Bitcoin to reverse himself by saying, hey, don't you guys remember when I bought Bitcoin and you guys thought I was a joke, right? And now the guy's reversing himself politically by saying anybody who commits crimes in New York is going to get deported. Meanwhile, these people were, allowed to do all kinds of things in New York City. In other words, everybody who is on the wrong side of the new administration, they have to do two things. One, buy Bitcoin or crypto and announce it. Two, turn around and just adopt either common sense or get on board with whatever the new administration wants, because as the Canadian Prime Minister just found out, these guys are not fooling around. Tucker Carlson is back in Russia because in the last 50 days of the current administration, at least the perception is, they're trying to make things worse. I do think that there is at least an idea that powers that be, which are going away, may have one last gasp. Stay focused on crypto. Like this thing in South Korea yesterday where Bitcoin crashed over there. You had a flash crash. They put Bitcoin on a 30% discount. Crypto in South Korea crashed yesterday, causing a mixed market over here. And over here, a mixed market is a dip for now. All right. Very interesting that a legend now expects an NVIDIA crash. So NVIDIA was the way they did the AI trade in equities. Obviously, all of these giant companies have to build these huge structures for thinking machines. Like Silicon Valley is building data centers. They want to connect it to nuclear power plants to build what I would call Skynet. So obviously, NVIDIA's stock, they make the chips or design the chips for the hardware, right, that makes AI. The stock just, it was like over a 10-year period, the stock did 1,000x. Okay, which is important for crypto because, everyone's talking about, oh my God, the cycle, I got to get in, I got to pump it so I can dump it before it goes down and stays down for 4 years. I think this market's going up in a stair-step function for 10 years, just like stocks. It's like, everyone's like, oh yeah, Web3 made in America. Actually, they don't even say that. They don't listen, but Web3 made in America. Wow, that sounds good. Now I got to pump it so I can dump it. So the whole thing can, go up and get out and go down, and I'll see you in 3 years. That's not happening. Now, what may happen to NVIDIA is because they have questionable accounting practices or whatever, or one of their partners is in trouble for accounting practices, somebody they do business with, whatever. The point is, everyone's long the wrong stuff. Everyone over in normie world is long NVIDIA, and they're just now, probably thanks to XRP, waking up to the fact that they're long the wrong stuff, that the AI trade is going to get done over here. You are not going to have AI-generated content. You are not going to have anything related to AI, or frankly, anything related to human content, unless you can verify the ownership via blockchain. Galaxy Digital, as a big crypto hedge fund, has been telling you this for a long time. So everyone's long NVIDIA. Yeah, they're long the wrong stuff. And what happens when they all figure it out and they flip over to the Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, ETF, and Coinbase? Okay, again, Tucker Carlson, interviewing the Russian Secretary of State. Can we just all get along, please? All this thinking from my generation of us versus them, yeah, that's over. We owe $36 trillion in the world. You don't want to live in a world where we can't pay that debt. This includes the overseas powers. Everyone's like, oh, we don't like America. Oh, we're gonna have a different currency. We're gonna have the BRICS currencies. Yeah, okay, bro. What you're gonna replace our fiat with your fiat? Really? I don't think so. No, it's not. We got to grow our way out of a debt problem. Okay, Binance US, which I don't know. It's really funny. Binance US was in trouble. I don't know if anybody was ever in more trouble outside of XRP than Binance US. Pepe is now being listed there. It is sort of funny that centralized exchanges, as soon as Gensler walks out the door, are listing large cap meme coins as a way to onboard the public. Now, what they will onboard the public with is meme volatility. So you will have memes rise. You will have large players distributing their positions to retail. So if you have huge whales with giant positions, you will be providing, if you are buying these type of coins, you will be providing large whales with what they call exit liquidity, right? So come January, when it comes time to take profits on coins they've been holding for 2 years, the general public is going to be the bid that they hit to take profits, just so you know. Now, Bitcoin and XRP is the opposite, right? If you dump those coins, you're probably dumping those coins to an institution. So make sure you know who's buying and who's selling your currencies, right? So don't sell Bitcoin because BlackRock's taking that. And if you get involved in stuff like this, I mean, Pepe is okay. But if you get involved in FOMO in the memes just because they're being listed on centralized exchanges, who is selling you your crypto? Just think about it. It's common sense, right? On this day 10 years ago, the U.S. government sold 50,000 Bitcoin for $15 million. They're worth $5 billion today. Mistake of the century. There's something to be said for hodling. One thing that you will learn in Bitcoin is that the history of Bitcoin is filled with these gut-wrenching declines, right? I mean, Bitcoin went from 5K to 20K, which was unbelievable back in the day, right? I mean, Bitcoin was like a $2,000-$3,000 instrument, and it went to 20K in 2 months. It was unbelievable. Then the crash was so harsh, right? Like, I got a job in crypto after the top, and the down move was so brutal that even as the market turned like a year and a half later, crypto companies were still shutting down. Like the bull market had started and crypto companies were still closing. Bitcoin is filled with all of these unbelievable moves. I don't see that happening anymore, at least not the Bitcoin, right? People in crypto and people in Bitcoin have had to live through a lot. Those people bought and they hodled. You're seeing movement in wallets, and there's a point to this. There's a movement in wallets where people who have held Bitcoin since 80 cents, they held on for all of that volatility. And what's funny about today's market is that, you have all these examples of people in Bitcoin. You have people looking for the next life-changing move, And the next life-changing move could be right in front of you. And then people are getting upset because, their coin didn't move that day or that week. You just got to keep in mind that what people who have hodled, look at the people who hodled XRP. XRP was a trap to the point where Ripple, the company behind XRP, didn't want to talk about it. They didn't want to talk about it. And they voted, they donated money out of fear to people that, were not interested in crypto made in America. Right? Like, in other words, people with Bitcoin, they had such conviction, they never sold. Now we're having trouble buying after a 30% up move. That's insane. There was a time where Bitcoin went from $0 to $100. The same thing's happening in the whole rest of the crypto market. We just don't see it yet. MicroStrategy looks poised to join the NASDAQ 100. MicroStrategy, the stock, where a guy named Michael Saylor is buying, as much Bitcoin as he can. So he has turned a dinky software company into a Bitcoin hedge fund. His stock is so unique that the stock of his company is frequently the way things like European and Asian insurance companies, it's the only way for them to participate in Bitcoin because they can't buy the ETF and they can't buy Bitcoin directly. All they can buy is MicroStrategy and whatever bonds MicroStrategy issues to borrow money to do what? To buy more Bitcoin. And no one has thought that, Bitcoin ignited crypto. XRP ignited altcoins. XRP could also reignite Bitcoin, and you could wake up one day and Bitcoin could be at 105K because nobody really cares about the even number. I mean, yes, it does stop the market temporarily, but nobody really cares. Michael Saylor doesn't care. He's presenting at Microsoft. Look at this. Microsoft Bitcoin Strategy by Michael Saylor. Let me give you a 3-minute PowerPoint presentation. Okay. The greatest digital transformation of the 21st century is the transformation of capital, and Bitcoin is digital capital. Microsoft is a $3 trillion company. And I would imagine Michael Saylor, that presentation is largely ceremonial. That you are going to have announcements of massive corporate involvement. Okay, Microsoft has huge gaming assets. My understanding is like gaming and metaverse took off yesterday. Like, my colleague has been talking about gaming as a crypto onboarding mechanism for months. This is happening like right now. Like, Michael Saylor speaking at Microsoft and everyone goes, oh, that's nice. People aren't following along. Like, what's happening here is so shocking relative to what's been going on in crypto. As like the first boss I ever had, right? I can still see him pacing back and forth with his cappuccino back in 1992 when things changed in currencies, because that's the business we were in at the time. He's like pacing back and forth going, this is a fundamental shift. This is a fundamental shift, meaning the whole market was going to change value. The whole market was not priced for some kind of new reality, which is being told to you, every day. And I'm not sure anyone's listening. It's funny when the news has like ads that are super relevant. Polkadot is growing massively, right? This one, I think, had news. It had like Grayscale's Bitcoin mini trust, right? Grayscale has multiple crypto products to onboard normies, particularly into altcoins, and no one is taking that into account. Not at all. Bitcoin exchange reserves dropped to lowest level in years. So, there were statistics out yesterday that Michael Saylor, if he continues to buy, Michael Saylor alone at his current pace will wipe all the Bitcoin off all exchanges just by himself in a year. And of course, we all know it's It's going to be a lot more than Michael Saylor. Okay, it's raining options. This is a way of telling you that speculative assets inside legacy, or I should say, speculative vehicles to bet on and trade Bitcoin, are exploding. Every legacy institution that can offer what you would call Bitcoin options or Bitcoin betting mechanisms called options trading, yeah, they can't get it onboarded fast enough. It's like mushrooms. Like, oh, come speculate in Bitcoin with us. All the mushrooms pop up. You know, it's like we're in. Everyone's in, and everyone's in all at once. All at once. Okay, just to hammer this home, the Ripple chairman, his net worth is up $6 billion since Election Day, and they donated $11 million to the wrong side. Like they were short their own coin. Ripple launches a stable coin. So, you know, these XRP announcements, the things that Ripple wanted to do, the payment system, the relationship with banks, you can't believe how big this can get and how fast it can get there, because Ripple is a company that, you know, sat around, left XRP for dead, literally, continued with their business. I mean, now it's like flashing back to me. I remember hearing from somebody who was a leader in XRP in 2018. And at the time, I suspected XRP was in trouble because he said, I have no idea what drives the value of our token. I was like, really? You don't know the value proposition of your own instrument? This has been going on since 2018. XRP was basically left for dead. Ripple wanted to act like it didn't exist. They didn't even talk about it at Consensus in April. Now they got stable coins, they got bank relationships, and now also they have XRP meme coins. Speculative capital is the first wave. Speculative capital is the first wave of innovation, right? You got to have all the people come in to do what they understand to get XRP moving. And this could be XRP $4 just based off this meme stuff. Like Army is going crazy. You're going to hear about a new XRP meme coin every day, and you're probably going to have life-changing money, because this looks just like Solana did last year. Nobody believed Solana when Solana took off. Solana was allegedly dead at the hands of FTX. Solana 10X'd, and then any meme coin you bought on Solana in the beginning, I don't know, it did 1,000X because there wasn't that many of them. So meanwhile, everyone's on pump.fun trying to figure that out, including me, right? Everyone's doing that, trying to find a meme coin on Solana. Meanwhile, Ski base taken off, and then XRP is next. XRP Ledger just became much cheaper to use. Again, 400% price increase. Who's going to stop this? Nobody. XRP Bitcoin volatility drives liquidations. Okay, so I tend to like to make fun of traders, and traders like to make fun of me and ranges. So I like to make fun of traders and trends. So you got everybody try to trade this market on 50 and 100x leverage, meaning if you're new, there are ways in crypto to literally push a button and increase leverage dramatically, which is a lot different than in legacy, where you have to borrow money using margin or trade, you know, ETFs that have embedded leverage in it. Crypto, you just like push the button. Everybody got levered. Everybody got long. They got stopped out yesterday. Everybody got short. They got stopped out today, right? All these traders trying to chase these micro movements with big leverage, wrong. BlackRock and these guys are going to wash you out every single time. You're going to FOMO at the top, or you're just going to, you know, try to catch it. They're going to find your stops. That's all they did yesterday. They found the bull stops and they found the bear stops. They stopped everybody out. They hoovered up everybody's crypto. Thank you very much. Exchanges will give you all the leverage you want, because they know when you get stopped out, it's going to wind up benefiting BlackRock. It's going to benefit BlackRock, right? You get long on excessive leverage. It flushes lower, even 5%, you're stopped out. Meanwhile, if you're a regular person, if you see down 5% in anything, you got to grab it. I mean, sideways or down, like red ink gets you moving. 3 days of red ink, 2 days of red ink. You got that before Thanksgiving. Everybody ran for the hills. Oh my God, it's going down 30%. It's been up only ever since then, right? Ever since then. He's just not going to stop it. BlackRock bought $693 million in Bitcoin for its ETF yesterday. BlackRock, the BlackRock Bitcoin ETF was forecasted long-term to have 50 billion under management. So that means the BlackRock Bitcoin ETF now holds $50 billion worth of Bitcoin on behalf of people who have purchased the ETF, right? That was their long-term forecast, not their 8-month forecast. People at BlackRock are probably on the phone with sovereigns going, oh my God, where are we going to get the next 25 billion from? How are we going to do this? I mean, seriously, this could be a monster stress point. Now, altcoins. I used to work with this guy, huge amount of respect for him. He's become like a big shot. Okay, the run finally begins. He is a big fan of Tau, which, they have tech in AI, or they could be considered a big AI meme coin. Either way, the AI narrative has not been traded yet. Virtual in the base network has a $2 billion market cap. That's way too low. And Virtual's done nothing but go up. I mean, that's been going up 40% per day for a while. They can verify gaming assets on the blockchain. That was their original value proposition. And now they can create AI agents that can do things like live streams. And the fundamental evolution I have to leave to you to check. But everything is breaking out. And what this guy has done by condensing, say, a longer term, like I was doing this with like Solana Monthly and Stellar and all these other coins, you like condense it down and make a long-term history look nothing more than a little base. You'll go back and say, oh, wasn't it cute that we were worried about buying the top when Solana was at 200, or, fill in the blank coin was at fill in the blank price. It's a fundamental shift. Here are the AI guys buying nuclear power plants. You don't think the AI trade is going to go beyond chips when they're building nuclear facilities to power AI data centers? It's not enough hardware. There's not enough energy. There's not enough hardware, DePIN, decentralized physical infrastructure. Somebody told me yesterday that Render, right, made a full-length Hollywood, like $200 million movie on its platform. They made it what looks like a $200 million science fiction movie using Render. A publicity stunt, a reality, or a lead into the future. Polymarket retains a loyal user base. People love betting. The herd mentality, is not going to stop. So if the herd likes Polymarket, it's not going to stop. If the herd likes Ski Mask Dog, it's not going to stop. Whatever the herd likes, it may get excessive, it may correct, but that could take 60 days, right? This could take 60 days before it gets stupid. New York Stock Exchange moves to list the Solana ETF from Grayscale, right? So there are Solana exchange traded products. Grayscale is ahead of the game. BlackRock ate their lunch on Bitcoin, and they're like, okay, fine. We're just going to move to altcoins. And they look like geniuses right away. Right away. Okay. So somebody brought this to my attention last night. This is called, ISO. I don't know. We'll call it 222. Okay. Top compliant cryptos. The top ISO compliant cryptocurrencies. Okay. These are the cryptocurrencies that they can build the internet on. XRP, Stellar, Hedera, Algorand, IOTA, Quant, QNT. Can anything stop this market? No. Nothing is going to stop this market. The Sandbox, Decentraland, Gala, exploding. Wait a minute. People hold gaming tokens because they believe in the potential of Web3. Oh my God, somebody beside me just said Web3, and I'm not sharing the screen. I hope I've been sharing the screen. Okay, Malik said you don't know about ISO. I've heard of ISO, but, like I said, somebody just brought it to my attention because I've been screaming about the value of those coins. Okay. Decentraland, Gala, surging, right? Web3 is here, right? Turbo just got listed on Coinbase. People, as Brian said, this thing's going to move really, really fast. Different this time, altcoin season no longer driven by rotation out of Bitcoin. There is so much capital headed into crypto that a lot of the metrics that people would use to be like, well, now it's time to buy Bitcoin. Now it's time to buy altcoins. Now it's time for everything to go up so I can sell it, so it can go to zero and I can come back in 3 years. That's over. It's over. We're not doing that anymore. We're doing a sector rotation, long-term, 10-year bull market. Are you going to have 40% corrections? Yes. That is not what you worry about right now. And just in case you think that people out there don't mean business about pushing back against the things that have been oppressing crypto, is Coinbase is telling law firms, good luck hiring all these former SEC guys who mercilessly oppressed us. We will not do business with you. How about that? Curve, DeFi, exploding. Arrow, exploding. Revenues up 20%. By the way, did you know that DeFi protocols in crypto actually make money? They're not like meme coins, that they're actual businesses. This is not priced in yet. Privacy-focused Cosmos Layer 1 initiates mainnet launch. I know there's a lot of people who've been betting on things like Cosmos, but this is the infrastructure of the future of the web. This stuff has been there. I don't know if the tokenomics in Cosmos are great, but if the whole world wants in, Cardano, Polkadot, Avalanche, all of these coins, they're going to wake up, and they're going to wake up massively. And the media is just starting to get into it. Cardano is up 88%. Is the Cardano rally just getting started? Probably, because no one likes Cardano. Now, either because Cardano doesn't work good or nobody likes Cardano. But in a bull market, what goes up? What you can't get access to, what you don't understand, and what you don't like. Those things go up the most. Charles Hoskins hits Joe Rogan. What's going to happen? Okay, so Ski Mask Dog. This is the power of YouTube, right? Guy like Brian, genius, comes out, says this is the next whiff. Said there was going to be one more dog coin. Guess what? There's going to be one more dog coin, right? What stops this? Nothing. You got a congressman behind it. You got a guy with 1 million followers behind it. You got everybody pouring into the base network. This was like a 10x. This was like went from 20 million to 200. It dips, and now they're just after it. You know what I'm saying? Like this is now a hedge fund chase, right? It gets like the 38% retracement. They take it below, and then it's just up only, right? They're probably going to take this to $1 billion, and this will be one of these things like GOAT that kind of goes straight up and then gets immediately listed by Coinbase. Like what's going to stop it? Like that's just the thing. I know I keep saying that, and that might be annoying. What stops this from going up? Nothing, right? DGen, the original meme coin on the base network. Okay, this is also on the move. Normies are going to see this. The narrative around DGen has, like they're trying to position it maybe as AI, social media. It's a meme coin. And it's held the 62% retracement of the recent up move, right? So it went up, and then it came off, because people found other meme coins on Coinbase, but that doesn't mean DGen doesn't have its own value proposition, because it does, right? It does. So it's like, this group is like, they got a front row seat. They got a front row seat for what's going to happen on base. Notice I say what's going to happen, because it hasn't happened yet. I mean, look at DGen on a daily chart. I mean, are you telling me that you have missed nothing? It's like you are not too late, you are not too early, you are right on time. Look at this. This is where DGen was back in March. Now, yeah, that's when it was hot, but that doesn't mean it can't go back up there. Matter of fact, it is going back up there. Everything is going back to its March high, right? People this was like, look at this. This is like all the way up, all the way down, and just die. This is painful. Like, people are like, oh, what an interesting chart. You know what? I was on this channel. We had to go live every day during this. And it was like, it's like, is this ever going to end? And believe me, it didn't feel like it was ever going to end until November 5th, and it ended. And now it's going the other way. So if your head is still in here, get your head out of there and get your head over here. That's it. Seriously. Okay, Arrow. So we did some TA on this last night. I'm calling this squiggle TA. So Lux Algo makes these formations. This is a rising wedge, which in crypto is normally pretty bullish. In other markets, it's not, but this is how crypto consolidates, or one of the ways that crypto consolidates before it goes up. Crypto's been, varying different types of cryptos have been in these like confined spaces that are identified by Lux Algo. And then as soon as they break out, they're just gone. They're gone. And it's not going to stop. The market rotates, but like, here's an example of Polkadot, right? This is Polkadot weekly. So Polkadot is like interoperability, right? It's like a blockchain network that can have multiple other blockchain network. Huge throughput, 10,000 transactions per second, some crazy number at like zero cost. So it's like massive throughput with no cost. Polkadot is the coin that you would buy to onboard yourself onto the Polkadot network. It's currently trading at $11. No one wanted it yesterday at 10, and it doesn't get to like what I would call a fair price or equilibrium until 28. And everyone is just standing around looking at it. This is not going to stop. It's not. ETH is awake. Okay, so when you have ETH, right? So what's left for there to say about Ethereum? Because it hasn't done anything. Well, guess what? It occurred to me yesterday that XRP just saved Ethereum. XRP could flip Ethereum, but XRP has saved Ethereum for the simple reason that if Bitcoin is money and XRP is money, then so is Ethereum. Ethereum is money, right? You can pay people in Ethereum. You can buy things with Ethereum. You can buy gold and silver with Ethereum, as last I checked, in America. Ethereum is money. So if Ethereum is not a highway for altcoin trading anymore, until the institutions get involved, but ETH is money. And ETH is breaking out above this really important DeMark resistance level, and it could just keep going. And if you look at ETH, right, on a weekly chart, the big resistance used to be 3,500. ETH broke out, right? Comes back down, retests it on a weekly. This is a weekly chart, and then turns around and goes right back up again. And guess what? You can have up week 6, up week 7, up week 8, up week 9. Do you got any idea what kind of headlines you're going to be looking at in this market if ETH goes to the next point, which could be 5,000? Like, if you come over here and start really thinking about where ETH could go, like here is the expanding, the Jesse Livermore accumulation cone in ETH. ETH could go to 5,000 by the time it gets to the cone, and no money has flowed into ETH yet. Just to tell you about the power of these type of formations. Okay, there's the formation in total 3. This is total crypto market cap without Bitcoin and Ethereum. So Solana, XRP, Cardano, all your friends, This thing is absolutely breaking out. You know, we did some of this periodically on the stream. For anybody who hasn't seen it, okay? This is called an accumulation cone or an accumulation cylinder with a widening mouth from the first technical analysis textbook. That was the notebook of a guy named Jesse Livermore, who was a famous trader, immortalized by the book Reminiscence of a Stock Operator. So he noticed this pattern down at the exchange where everything was hand signals and paper. And he wrote down in his notebook that a stock will go back and forth in an upward sloping manner. And that's usually what precedes a parabolic. Okay. These formations are everywhere. Here was one in Clearpool, which is mooning indiscriminately this morning. Here's one in Fetch. They haven't even gotten to the top of it. That's the artificial super intelligence token. Here was the one in MicroStrategy, and this is absolutely everywhere, and it has only started. Okay, anyone in gaming checking out Root? Yes, we are checking out Root. Yes, top pick. Top pick. Is Star Atlas going to make it? Yes. Yeah, yes, right? You have no idea what is about to happen in gaming here. Like, people have not, I mean, they're starting to figure it out now. But like, oh, gee, Microsoft's getting involved. Oh, gee, Microsoft. Yeah, they're huge in gaming. Yeah, Xbox. Look at Star Atlas, man. Look at this. You don't even get, you got to go up like 100% in Star Atlas to get to the top of the thing that it's going to break out from. This is on a daily chart, right? There's nobody home in Star Atlas, in my opinion. And if you start going to like long-term charts, okay, so there is a resistance block here, right? You know, at 0.005. But in Luxalgo terms, they have been shooting for the tops of these, you know, accumulation cone structures. So once it begins, why would it stop? What stops it? I know that's just a stupid question. It's like the crypto market, and I'm not sharing the screen. The crypto market is like Michael Jordan, right? You know it's coming, but you can't stop it. And the last thing you want to do is talk yourself out of it, right? Like, if ski is going to $1 billion, it's going to $1 billion. You know what I'm saying? Like, grab whatever dip you can. Do the best you can. You're going to be afraid about buying the top. That's good. If you're afraid about buying the top, it's still a bull market. When you're not afraid of buying the top anymore, you sell. This, nothing stops this. You know, and this alien-based trade that he wanted to do, you know, that's going to smoke too. Because, you know, you have Arrow, Velo, and if Alien Base is like the cool new DEX, you know, this has only got a $47 million market cap. I mean, what does it do? It's gone up. It broke out, and now it's retesting where it broke out from. You know, a lot of the market does this. Everyone thinks like, oh my God, it's a crypto bull market. It's going straight up. I'm going to miss out. No. Not at all, man. They're giving you plenty of opportunities because people don't believe what's going on here. You know what I'm saying? Like, it goes up and everyone goes, okay, I'll take my money and leave. And meanwhile, this could be a part of a major fundamental shift towards base. I mean, everything on Solana went up. I mean, if you look at this, then you go over here and you look at like Radium, like, I don't know, just like look at this Solana DEX, right? I mean, you know, Radium started out last year at 21 cents. It's now at $6 off the mania on Solana and Pump.fun. So where can Arrow and Alien Base go? There's Radium, there's Jupiter. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like it's unstoppable to the point where, you know, like PYTH, that was a Coinbase pick that we had. Let's do virtuals. I mean, I don't actually know if this has been listed on Coinbase, but can you imagine what happens when it does? I mean, this could be completely insane. So there's not a lot going on here on a 4-hour chart. Okay, most likely the way these things seem to work is they make square ranges. So if you see square ranges, or, you know, like I said, you may have to lower the time frame, right? See what these things are doing? Like, in other words, one of the ways in technical analysis you know that it's the real deal is when real simple things start working. So if you take this down to a low time frame, every time it goes up and it returns back to a prior resistance point, you know, this is TA 101. Let's do it this way, right? It stopped here. It stopped here. It stopped here. It stopped here. It broke out. It came back. It stopped. And now it could turn around and just keep going. Right? Like, I don't want to be a moon boy, but I'm just wondering, like, you know, when does this end? Like, where's it going? Like, what's base look like if Ski Dog is at 1 billion? You know what I mean? And this has happened. Okay. So XRP on a weekly chart, you know, you could have 5 more up weeks. Just saying. Right? That's a fact based on DeMark work. Now, on a daily chart, this is definitely overdone. 2 things about that. 1, don't discount a blow off top to $3. 2, if there is no blow off top, you could have a flush out lower in XRP if the market switches back to Bitcoin. You know, the healthiest thing for XRP is they could stop out all these people who are 100x leveraged. Honestly. So if there was a flush out in XRP, that would be your dip. That could be your only dip. Now, one of the things that I think, even though it sounds really tidy to wash everyone out, what happens if XRP just sits here? Because if you look at like XRP on like a low time frame chart, like, believe it or not, this is actually when you need a technical analyst. You see what XRP is doing on this 90-minute chart? It's just going sideways. This is what ETH would do when it goes up. And this is the technical analysis of a fundamental revaluation. In other words, there are topping signals here. XRP doesn't care. No one cares. It's just moving in a square. Like, you had 2 topping signals here on a 4-hour chart that should have stopped the market in its tracks. You had 1 4-hour candle with volatility, and now it just sits here. And if they do give you, you know, if they do take this thing down to $2 again, because they blow out levered longs, great. But if they don't, right, what does that tell you? I think the only way XRP goes down, honestly, at this point, even though it's up 400%, is because you have a gigantic up move in Bitcoin or Solana. Right? In other words, Solana just got flipped by XRP, and the way the world works is that when something gets flipped, that's when it turns around and goes massively higher. So Solana on a 4-hour chart, this sideways movement is a completed correction. And I don't know, man, this feels like it's got nowhere to go but up. Right? Solana has resistance at 240. Right? But if you look at this weekly chart, if Solana gets through, there's no resistance in Solana. Let's put it that way. I don't think, right? In other words, if Solana starts to rotate higher, it could go to 3. It could just, you know, there's nobody home. Because all of this resistance has already kind of been broken by the fact that it got pressed. Now, maybe Solana is going to go sideways. XRP wakes up something. it could wake up the entire market, right? BNB just took Solana market cap. Tezos. Yeah, I mean, all of these coins that people think are a joke were actually built to do something that's going to happen now. It's happening now. And one of the things that I'm doing, if you draw Tezos on like a monthly chart, right? It's been so dead for so long, right? This has been dead since before FTX. And if it ever got above $2.50, it could go to $5. Because I'm sure somewhere in the world, this thing has an important use to build the new internet. Okay, Algorand. Okay, so Algorand on a weekly chart, unstoppable. Nothing has even really happened. Algorand is currently retesting a spot at 50 cents after indiscriminately mooning. If you at a daily chart, right, I don't see any topping signals here yet. I don't. There's nothing to stop Algorand. That's insane, right? I mean, if we're going to look at it, we might as well look at Hedera. You had a topping signal here and the market just blew through it. Now, is this overdone? Maybe. But if it breaks out and does nothing but consolidate on support, it's not going to go lower. I don't want to say the market can't go down, but I think we got to start asking ourselves, like, this is an important concept in TA. So if you're looking at like a candle, you have a huge breakout, but then in the middle of the candle, it turns around and comes back down to retest the point where it broke out from. In other words, they do the breakout and the retest in one candle. Hedera comes back and holds 27 cents. What's going to happen? Right? This is Hedera on Bitstamp. I don't know if I've got a deeper history of Hedera. I'm sure I do over here. I mean, Hedera is breaking out of everything you can think of. Right? And what happens, and this is what guys are drawing now. Like, this is just, they're taking this whole range. Like, everyone's like, oh my God, look how far Hedera has to go up. Or look how much it's rallied. And guys are drawing this, which I think is valid, right? Like, they're doing squiggle TA. I saw guys do this, and they were looking to do this kind of stuff in coins that they owned just to kind of bull post it. But what happens if it's this? What happens if this, everyone laughs and goes, ha, remember when we thought it was up too much? Seriously, this can happen. Oh, share screen. Oh, I'm sharing screen. You can see Hedera, right? Okay, there it is. Yeah, sharing screen. Okay. What else we got? Stellar. Same type of thing. I gotta find a deeper history of Stellar. Yeah, see, there is no deeper history of Stellar. Okay, let me just get this, label this. So let's talk about what's going on with Stellar. So it's like, oh my God, look at Stellar. But look, on a monthly chart, it goes up. Lux Algo inserts support underneath the rally. So Lux Algo is saying there's a floor at 45 cents. Note that when Stellar dips, oops, lost my Lux Algo. Lost my Lux Algo there. Sorry. Okay, no, there it is. It's back. Okay. So it breaks out. Sorry, it breaks out. You come back down and it comes right back up again. So everybody knows exactly where the support is. This was the October 2021 peak. And again, ask yourself this question. Do you realize everybody just spent the last 6 months giving up on this coin? See this red on red down here? You know, if this was a meme coin, you would FOMO in. That's like what I'm telling people. If it was a meme coin, you would FOMO in. But it's not. It's blockchain infrastructure. Like, it's never going to stop. Okay, Sui. So Sui was hot on the way out, of the gate. Okay, our general view is that Sui is going to break out from this, but may have to go sideways first because you had a lot of people FOMOing in. So in no way, shape, or form am I bearish on Sui, right? But Sui, relative to, say, Hedera, like Sui is owned by crypto bros for legitimate reasons, right? But normies may not understand Sui in the beginning. They may understand other things. Like, you're not going to believe this conversation. I'm going to put the chart up on the board. I'm just going to put the chart up and leave it there because I don't want to not share screen and then forget to share screen. Okay. Yeah. Here's Dash digital money, right? God, I was so into this last cycle. So I have this thing I do. It's called the 6th Street Crypto Podcast. It's just me basically talking on a park bench out on 6th Street in Austin, Texas, where I live. And I have a parking attendant from a fancy restaurant come up and say, hey, I heard you talking about crypto, because I'm literally over there like with a camera on my phone broadcasting. He's like, can I ask you about a crypto? And I'm like, oh my God, here it comes. You know, my turtle frog hybrid coin. And he's like, I want to ask you about Dash. I'm like, Dash? This guy's like 20 years old. I mean, yeah, Dash, because he's on Coinbase and he sees it moving and he thinks the name Dash is cool. That's not what he said, but that's probably how he figured it out. And of course, Dash has been up only. It's been dead like forever. Digital money, they were using this in Venezuela. I don't know what the tokenomics are, but this is a Bitcoin fork. This is the other thing that people don't realize. Dash, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, Zcash, these are all like forms of Bitcoin that do different things. I mean, do you realize that equilibrium in Dash is at 250 and it currently trades at 60? And some kid, a valet, was interested? Like, how many Coinbase normie friends do you think he's got? Legendald said, loves Austin. BNB is mooning. Yeah, I mean, we could do this all day, and I have no problem doing it, right? But here's the thing. If BNB is doing one of these accumulation ranges, it's not mooning. The mooning is to come. Like, it's just now making a new all-time high. You know, CZ is okay, and you're going to need every single network. You're going to need every single network. Like, you're going to build the internet and not have Binance chain? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. And I'm telling you, you can still see this market hesitating. Like, I'm looking at Arrow up 10%, And I can still feel the hesitation. People are like, whoa, I don't want to buy it up 10%. Yo, bro, you better hurry up. You better do what you got to do. I mean, I understand one day I'm going to say that and it's going to go down in my face. I'm going to do it until, I'm going to do it until it doesn't work anymore. Jasmine, see what I'm saying? Look at this. It forms these cones. It breaks out. It's tough. It's not easy. Bull markets are not easy, right? These breakouts and these retests, they're tough, right? Like, they're going to test your conviction. This guy named Stan Druckenmiller, his big hedge fund, man, he will tell you, you got to have conviction. You have to be what they call a pig. Like, bulls make money, bears make money, pigs don't do well, meaning take profits. That's what the saying implies. Okay, you definitely want to take profits and pay yourselves if you do a good trade. But if it's a trade, if it's a long-term thing, you take some of the money out and you leave a moon bag, meaning you just leave it. Now, however much you got to take out so you can just be, okay, I don't care, I'm just leaving it. Just leave it, right? Jasmine, upward sloping trend line, upward sloping range, breakout, Lux Algo puts support underneath it. And then, what goes down one way goes back up the same way. This was likely very overhyped when it came out, but that doesn't matter because they're going to unwind this whole thing. Like, when they get started this way. So this is like another little bit of technical analysis. So the angle on this descent was 79%. Yeah. So let's just pretend that that's similar. It went down on a 70-degree angle. It can go up on a 70-degree angle without really knowing what the fundamentals are. All you need is a fundamental catalyst, and boom, it's gone. I sound insane. The Lux Algo indicators that I'm using, Lux Algo is on my Twitter, by the way, as an affiliate link, crypto_noble. So I use oscillator matrix, price action concepts, and signals and overlays. Okay. Okay, so Jockey is longing Crow. Okay, let's talk about the review. First of all, if you're new to crypto, welcome to crypto. Thank you for watching an hour and 20-minute show. As you can see, as this market balloons, it's like the shows are going from 30 minutes to 40 minutes to 50 minutes to 2 hours in order to really cover what's actually happening. What's really happening is that Coinbase normies without charts are hitting the green button, and corporate and sovereign FOMO is next. You see this market moving in 20 coins, moving in 10% increments. That is a signal that the market itself is not priced properly, that crypto as a whole is worth way more than where it's currently trading at. And that includes every sector. So every sector will, sectors pop off day in and day out. That doesn't mean your coin won't eventually pop off. I mean, not everybody's coin is going to pop off, but eventually you're going to have a $6 trillion market cap for this thing. So the best time to get ready for that is right now. I'm your host, Bill Noble. We will see you tomorrow.